I think there's an aspect of arrogance that comes through in society today where we feel like we can dispense with the old just because we have science on our side and more scientific advancement.
If we had a pill that could cut cortisol in half, it'd be $1 billion blockbuster. But that's
Yeah.
exactly what compassion exercises do. It's exactly what spiritual practices do. Why is it that we're living longer than ever before? We have these amazing medicines, and yet our mental health is suffering. Addiction is on the rise. Suicide is on the rise. There's something wrong.
Life is a lot easier, but for some reason we're unhappy. And maybe what is missing is that lack of meaning.
When you strengthen that observing mind and you come to really understand this default mode network, it can change your life. It definitely changed mine. That central executive is less obsessed about me and I. It's actually the mind that is present, that recognizes that all life is interconnected, that it has this expansive consciousness. It's a place of peace. I don't call it a disease, syndrome, disorder. I call it a knot, like a muscle knot. It's something that could be very firm and tense, but you can untie the knot. It is possible to reverse it. Monks who meditate, they tend to be actually, they're in that observing mind, they're in that central executive. So their default mode network is less active. With meditation, you are literally rewiring your brain and you're getting out of that old reptilian monkey mind, the default mode network, and you're empowering this most recent development in the brain, the central executive, that observing mind, which is the highest part of our brain. And it's the part that other animals don't have. It's what makes us human. Yeah,
The smallest problems to ruminate on. But
that's right.
the act of gratitude can have a significant impact too, from
Yeah.
just from personal experience.
Loneliness is one of those mental knots. It's a big health problem, actually. And the way to
Yeah.
overcome loneliness is to cultivate gratitude and
Mhm.
compassion. Your relationship with it can change your life. So, gratitude, very important. There's
Yeah.
healthy stress and there's bad stress. And so, I think part of this is, yeah, you want good, healthy stress, but you also don't want to be suffering with excessive stress. The remedy for stress is mindful relaxation. Sounds a lot easier than it is. Think about a very dirty pond that's very muddy. You're waiting, giving it some time for that mud to settle so that the water becomes clear. You're giving your body 20 minutes for those thoughts to calm down, for the GABA to get going. The body already has it. It's called GABA.
Mhm.
It will prevent stress from happening. Ask yourself, am I at ease? Is this craving causing me harm? If it is, try setting an intention, right? A goal, but also an intention of, I want to be happy and start that journey. Again, I picture myself leaving Earth and looking out at the galaxy with all the stars out there, something far bigger than me. I just give some gratitude for it and I come to the present moment.
Mhm.
Look inside, listen, and the way forward will be shown. That's
Mhm.
what all the prophets have said. It's like the consciousness there is a recognition that there's something far bigger than me, that all of life is interrelated, including plants and animals. If Earth was one grain of sand, there are more planets in the universe than all the grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth.
Yeah.
That's how small we are. For
Mhm.
4 decades, this was all illegal and we lost 40 years. But now we're starting to understand the medical value of these plant medicines. That anxiety is not who I am. That little bit of space is all they need to now embrace things like spirituality. The loneliness is an epidemic. We saw it with
Mhm.
COVID-19, forced social isolation, causing all kinds of mental health problems, anxiety, depression. And a big driver, again, is this default mode network. It's
Mhm.
the part of the brain that makes you feel different and separate. And it can, instead of blaming, instead of solving your loneliness by seeking social connection, you can blame others for it. And that worsens the loneliness. What they recognized is that the baseline, our baseline brain is actually compassionate and loving.
Mhm.
And that's what they discovered. Buddha and Jesus both discovered in solitude that the higher power or their natural part of the brain is a place of benevolence and
Mhm.
compassion. People think meditation is just sitting down and you're in peace. Actually, no. Meditation is sitting down and observing your mind for whatever is there. Stress, anxiety, whatever's there, you're observing it.
In the world we live in today, we're just reacting rather than slowing things down and responding to things as they come.
There's a process called the RAIN technique where you recognize, let's say, a craving, accept it, investigate it, non identify, let it go. And so when you turn on that observing mind and you recognize those three, you start to understand yourself and you find freedom from all those distractions, and you can end up in a much more peaceful place. The data is clearly showing there, and I've got tons of them in the book. There was one study, Women's Health Initiative, 70,000 women followed for 9 years, and none of them had cancer or heart disease to start the study. And they followed them to see which of these volunteers ended up with cancer or heart disease. And they found, yeah, the women who were most pessimistic, cynical, tended to get the higher rates of the cancer. Women who were happier had much less cancer and heart disease. The science is now, again, taking a seat at the table with spirituality and mental health and other things.
Mhm.
Don't rely on somebody to figure it out for you, but
Mhm.
look inside, and that process of self-understanding can really change things. The audiobook will be out in a few weeks. So for folks who prefer audiobooks, but yeah, my social media handles are all on the bottom of that website.